Hi, I'm Adam Schwartz. I'm a software engineer at Diagnotes here in Indianapolis. We're a small startup building a secure scheduling and messaging platform for hospitals and doctors and patients and all that fun stuff. We don't use a lot of Python there, but I've been a fan of the language since around the 2.7.1 release. And it was cool to like Python then because no one else did. But that's changed for the better, I think. So my talk is don't forget to have fun. And more than anything, it was a fun thing to do to reflect on for myself. But a little more about me and why I'm here today is that I did the extern program last summer, which is an internship sort of festival by the TechPoint company here, where they gather a lot of college students for the summer, pair them with companies, and have a really great time. And that's why I wanted to move back to Indy after I graduated. So I went to Earlham College in Richmond, Indiana, where I majored in computer science, minored in philosophy, and discovered a new passion for ceramics. So a few propositions as a philosophy minor, that's a good word. Having fun is important, and important to me, and I think having fun at work is important now that I'm going to start working full-time. But sometimes work isn't fun. I kind of am assuming that because school isn't always fun and school's like work. Sometimes what was fun yesterday isn't fun today anymore. So that's something else I've stumbled into already in my life. And I think investing in fun is an investment in productivity. And that's mostly what I want to try to focus on and talk about. So a few guiding questions I posed to myself when preparing for this talk today was coming up with some things I think are fun. So my list of fun, and if I can do any of those things at work or when I get home from work. So my list of fun for this talk is being outside, systems, programming languages, and ceramics. So I'm trying to toss in a little bit of work-related and not work-related fun things to do. So start us off easy, being outside. Very fortunate to be living in Broad Ripple where the Monon is right outside my door. And I can go take my bike out, set up a slack line, and have something to look forward to every day that is completely just relaxing, usually or rainy or deathly hot, but it's nice to be able to do that. So as we transition into systems and tooling, which really is what brought me into software to begin with, is learning new tools, what my computer can do, and how systems work on the computer, whether that's the operating system or just networking or other fun things like that. And before I get into some examples, I wanted to share a story that happened a couple weeks ago at work when I was stuck debugging a problem with Ruby on Rails. And we were using a Docker container for this specific service and application. And in the Docker console, I'd run into a problem where the lines would start wrapping, and instead of wrapping to the next line, it would overwrite the same line, and so it was impossible to read any logs or really do anything in there. I talked to the senior dev that was mentoring me, and he's like, yeah, that happens sometimes. I hate it. Like, if you can fix it, I'll buy you lunch. I'm like, challenge accepted. So it was a great opportunity to stop what I was doing in Ruby, go investigate this issue in the shell, which is something I have a lot of fun with usually. So it was extra fun that it only took a few minutes to solve and not a few days or weeks. So ended up finding a solution in the Kubernetes project that depends on Docker a little bit and was able to modify our Docker exec command to resize the window correctly. So that was a fun thing to do. So another thing I wanted to share with you is just this presentation itself. I'm trying out a new presentation tool. It's part of the Golang project called Present, and it takes a plain text file and turns it into this presentation and lets you very easily include images and videos and source code. So this code snippet up here, if you can see it, it's a tiny web application using Bottle, and I can go over here and hit run, and that should go and start this web server. So if I try navigate there, I can prove it to you. So 1 is 6 times 9. There, it shows up pretty fancy. And what's even cooler to me is I can go and modify this kind of in real time with the answer there, rerun that, come over here. I thought that was pretty wild. Like, PowerPoint can't do that, and it's Turing complete. So a few other tricks I wanted to talk about, or productivity tricks that happened to be fun for me to distract myself with was learning to type in Dvorak. I did that in high school. I wasn't really a good typer before then. Now I am. It forced me to. And it's really comfortable. So QWERTY is terribly ergonomic, or unergonomic. Dvorak is very ergonomic. In the fish shell, I know we just mentioned ZSH. I kind of jumped into this other thing, which is Fish, the friendly interactive shell. It's you should do it. The whole point or selling point is zero configuration. So it's something you install and it just works, sort of just works. And it gives you an amazing prompt, great Git interact context awareness, like amazing autocompletion because it reads manual pages and help screens from programs you install on the fly. I don't know, really awesome. I wrote a couple little programs that kind of bundled some common commands like cdls and vim. EE does the same thing but with Emacs. And org mode is really awesome. You should look it up if you haven't. We'll see if we can play. This is just a quick demo, so I didn't have to play around with it. But I'm looking in the Minix source code, which is a microkernel that's fully POSIX compliant. It's like on the order of a few thousand lines. Linux is on the order of a few million lines. So it's fun to play around with. You can kind of get the idea from how exciting it is to have one character be everything you need. So that brings me to programming languages, which is another thing I have fun with, and it happens to be work-related. I kind of try to stay, have a surface level knowledge of new languages that pop up when it interests me. Go caught my attention a few years ago, and I happened to be doing an internship where I got to choose a language and whatever tech I wanted to implement a proof of concept for a new web microservice. So I chose Go, wrote about 3 lines to do a website, didn't touch it for another couple years, brought it out again for the first time last semester, my last semester at school, for another few lines. Here's an example of what those few lines can do, which is quite powerful for those of you familiar with Python's request library, which is awesome. And it's so awesome, actually, that the Python documentation, anytime mentions HTTP or URL lib, tells you to just use requests and get out of the docs. But in Go, which is a fully compiled language, it didn't work this time, it looks like. But usually it grabs the page. It's probably because I'm not on the internet, but that's fine. You can believe me that it works. But it's only a few lines, and as fast as it takes to run this box, it's actually building and compiling and executing, piping that into the browser, so it's pretty fast. Pretty nice. It's not Python, though. So lastly, I wanted to share some fun about ceramics. I found ceramics to be really fun in college, ended up taking it because I needed an art requirement fulfilled, and it was the only thing that could fit in my schedule. And it was really hard, really frustrating, really dirty, really humbling, really fun. So I've ended up doing 3 semesters of ceramics. I'm now enrolled in a ceramics class at the Indianapolis Arts Center. I'm really happy about that. That's something to look forward to every week, getting into the studio. And so lastly, I want to leave with what happens when a CS student takes a ceramics class and you get glider mugs. So my art teacher didn't really know what this was, but I think some of you might appreciate it that way. So yeah, it's a kind of weird talk, but I was really excited to do one and saw that there was an opportunity to, so thanks very much. Happy to talk about anything later.